Hey, what's going on, everybody? Today we are going to keep looking at just for fun designs that I've put together, and check this out right here. This is a beautifully designed whatever this is, logo, design, whatever. This is not an original design of mine. It's something that I found on Google that I just kind of quickly redid for the video, and I just thought it would be fun. Anyway, let's get serious and talk about fun stuff. Before we get started though, please make sure you are subscribed to support the channel. All right, so the first thing up is something that I just kind of played around with in Illustrator and then brought into Photoshop. It was something that I think it was based on something that I found on Pinterest at one point, but I just wanted to kind of play around with some blurriness and some layers and things like that. There aren't really a whole lot of things going on here. There's only two different Vector Smart Object layers, but it was just something that I put together in Illustrator and then just kind of changed the scaling on each one of them and just made it a random size, and then did the same thing again for the foreground. And then I added a bevel and emboss, a gradient overlay, and a drop shadow, and then on the background layer, it's the same exact thing except it has a Gaussian blur on the back. It's been a while since I've done this, but I think my original intent was to have it printed out on a glossy poster paper. I just think that it would really help to capture all that detail, especially when it's got so much shininess here. But this is just a really good example of playing around in Illustrator, bringing it into Photoshop, and just seeing what you can do with it. All right, next up for any of you Nickelodeon Doug fans out there, this was a Doors poster or design that I found on Pinterest a few years ago, and it inspired me to make a poster for the Beats. And this is a Live in Bloatsburg Killer Tofu tour poster, and I just wanted to kind of capture the original magic of what this poster has. It's got those really cool distressed type of overlays there. And of course, those are all natural. This is actually an original design, and it has that built-in vintage because it actually is vintage. But I really wanted to capture that same energy, that same color palette. And then when I ended up putting the final design together in Photoshop, it's a little bit more dialed back than the original design. Maybe I should go in here and just really kind of really vintage it up as much as possible. But overall, I still think it turned out really cool. I would just go in and make sure that there are a lot more areas that are a little bit more filled out, especially with that vintage vibe. And here's another Doug design that I did. I'll try not to do too many of these. Maybe I'll just kind of split it up across different videos because I have a lot of different Doug designs, just like I have Are You Afraid of the Dark stuff. But this one right here is a Bluffington design. I think this may have been based on something that I saw on Pinterest, and I just added in those stars right there. I just thought that was really cool. And here's one last Doug design that I did back when I was in college. This is my favorite Doug episode. It's called Doug's Lucky Hat. And the idea behind this hat is that the wind blows it around and then a lucky kid finds it. And so the message of the poster is, will it find you next? The whole episode has a very sunny, warm, and whimsical feel to it, so I wanted the poster to have the same thing. And since it's been about 15 years since I originally designed this, I might do something new with it. All right, next up is a Dream Theater poster that was actually kind of a just for fun, but it was also commissioned for me. And somebody was a huge Dream Theater fan, and they said, hey, will you design a poster for me that is a typographic design? And so I did this, and at the time, he wanted all of the Dream Theater album's lyrics on one poster, and I was like, all right, I understand my mission. So let's zoom in and just kind of take a look right here. We'll go all the way in right here. So I believe this is at 100%. And this right here has all of the lyrics to all of Dream Theater's albums, at least their studio albums. And then it's kind of got this glowy, glassy type of orb that's laying on top of it. And the idea of it is that since it's magnifying it, then it reverses the text that you actually see inside of it. So here, top left, I can remember in the Unity, blah, 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 blah. And then all the way when you get down to the bottom right, at least at the time, these were the closing lyrics to their most up-to-date album. I don't know if they've put out an album since then, but I haven't updated this poster to reflect that. But this one was a lot of fun to design, even though the file size is humongous. All right, this was a fun little one to put together. One of my favorite comedies of all time is Dumb and Dumber. So I wanted to do something that was exactly the opposite of the whole idea of the movie and make a very sophisticated looking poster for it. And then of course taking Roger Ebert entirely out of context and saying that he said a true original, which he did. That is part of a quote from his review in the movie, but of course he's not talking about the movie itself. But I just love the idea of a very classy and minimalist poster design for this movie. All right, and this one right here is a poster that I did for Echosmith, specifically the concert that I went to back in 2022. I found this really cool picture of Sydney right here, and I don't know why I put the oranges in there. I do know why the bubbles are there, and that's because at the end of the show, they actually put bubbles out in the entire audience for everybody, and it was so cute. Their mom is actually the one that operated that bubble machine, so I thought that was really cool. But I just love the composition of her right there. I don't know if the original image had her kind of rotated like this, but I rotated the rest of the type with it to kind of match that pose. But this was a really fun design to do. That was a great show that I went to. Definitely one of the best that I've seen, at least in the past several years. I'm a huge Echosmith fan. I think that they are very, very underrated and really good music, really good show, and I wanted to reflect that in this poster. All right, I don't know if we have any Enigma fans out there, but I'm a huge Enigma fan going all the way back to when I was 7 years old when their first album came out. And this was something that I found, I think it was either on Unsplash or Pexels, and I just wanted to do something really cool with this poster. So I made like an Enigma concert poster, even though they've never done a single concert. And everybody, including myself, calls Enigma a band, even though it's one guy. But it would be like a dream come true for me to actually see Enigma perform live. And this is kind of how I envisioned the concert posters would be, just really fantasy driven and just a lot going on in the poster. If you're at all familiar with Tool's concert posters, this was obviously very heavily influenced by those. And during the time that I made this, I had just seen Tool in concert. But this right here was a lot of fun to design. I wish I had the original PSD files, which just had tons and tons of layers in it. And here's another Enigma design that I did just for fun. It's a redesign of the album cover for Voyager. The albums Voyager and A Posteriori, I think I said that correctly, are my two least favorite Enigma albums. But I still wanted to find some inspiration from listening to those albums, so I listened to them and then created this one, and I created this one, and I do believe I actually made a video for this one, and if I did, I will put it right up here. All right, and this is for any of you Ernest fans that might be out there. This is a movie poster for Ernest Scared Stupid, and part of the plot for this movie involves milk. So I redesigned the classic Purity design for this, and I'm not entirely sure if this is a regional thing or not, but we had Purity milk here in Nashville, and they also showed the same design in the movie itself. So even if you didn't have Purity around you in your area, you'd probably recognize this from the milk carton designs. But it just kind of replaces all of those different areas right there with something to do with the movie. And then I did the same thing here for Purity's version of chocolate milk. At one point I had a printout of this in my cubicle at my office, and everyone loved it because just about everybody there were native Nashvillians, or at least grew up around the Nashville area, so they were very familiar with Ernest. All right, this next one up was a Photoshop tutorial that I did a number of years ago, and it was basically taking an image of someone and just kind of doing like a pencil sketch type of effect on it. Right here is the original image. This is the actress Emma Stone, and so I used this as the base image, and then it turned into this right here. This tutorial was a lot of fun to do, and this is one of the few ones that I've actually found that actually does look real. If I can find this tutorial, I'll link it in the description for you. Really quickly, here's another Enigma poster that I found, and this right here is Michael Cretu. He's the guy behind Enigma, and just like the Dream Theater poster, this is all of the lyrics to all of the studio albums for Enigma. These kind of typographic lyrics posters are so much fun to do. Okay, and here's an E.T. poster with Reese's Pieces. This was around the time that I was really getting into Swiss and minimalist designs. I just watched E.T. recently with my girls, and I've always loved, even back when I was a little kid, how those Reese's Pieces showed up on screen. All right, if there are any fans of Joss Whedon's Firefly, you will love this poster design. This is a visual episode guide of Firefly. So it's basically an infographics poster right here, and what we've got is a breakdown of all the different episodes, going from Serenity all the way up to Objects in Space, and every single one of them has like a synopsis right here in this area, and then we've got Serenity, the ship, right here, and this is the episode numbers going around in this area, and then on the outside of this is kind of like a general synopsis of the show itself, showing the series run 2002 to 2003, and then at the bottom we've got the original episodes and their air dates. But this was a lot of fun. I love doing posters like this. I wish I had more time to do posters like this on the channel. Maybe I will in the future. All right, this is a poster that I made. It actually came from an original design that I didn't come up with, but this was a redesign of something that I found. I don't know where I saw it, maybe Google or Pinterest. I'm not exactly sure, but the original design had the exact same thing that was on this poster, but I just thought it was so funny because like it made it look like it was from the Food and Drug Administration and everything, and like just the idea of it was hilarious, so I went ahead and redesigned it. If I was working in an office setting, I would totally print these out and put them up on the wall. I bet it would be a long long time before someone noticed. All right, and the last thing that we'll take a look at in this video is going to be this Granger Lovegood 2024 design. And this is obviously not an original idea from me. It's something that I saw years and years ago online. But what ended up being my original idea was flipping that L upside down to create the G, and that's a reference to the first time that we're introduced to Luna Lovegood in the Harry Potter series. She's reading a Quibbler magazine upside down, and I always thought that was funny, and I always thought it would be funny too, since this is just for fun, to rotate this to where that is upside down and matching the upside down L. But this was just a fun thing to put together, and this does have a dimensional shadow, which I have done a video about in the past, so if you haven't seen that, check it out right up here. Alright, well that was fun checking out some just for fun stuff. I've got a lot more to show you, so keep an eye out for those new videos. Please make sure that you like, share, and subscribe to support the channel. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.